In the world of business, there's this one constant pressure, right? Get the best price. Always negotiate harder, find cheaper suppliers, shave every last fraction of a cent off the cost. But what if I told you that focusing only on that one thing is actually making companies incredibly fragile? That there's a hidden threat that can bring the whole operation to its knees? Well, that's what we're going to dig into.
So, you've got this tug of war happening. On one side, it's the goal everyone gets: get prices down. I mean, it makes sense, right? Lower costs, higher profits. Simple. But on the other side, you have the seasoned experts, the people who've seen it all. And they have this deep, nagging fear. They know that hiding behind that amazing low price can be a single point of failure so critical it can literally shut down the entire business.
So what is this boogeyman in the supply chain? It has a name: supplier concentration risk. And honestly, the best way to think about it is that old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Except in this case, the basket is your company's entire ability to make its product. And a single crack in that basket can be catastrophic. It's the kind of risk that never shows up on a balance sheet until it's way, way too late.
Okay, let's get the official definition on the table. Supplier concentration risk is simply what happens when your business depends way too much on one source. But here's the crucial part. One source is broader than you might think. It could be a single company, sure, but it could also be depending on a single country or region, or even a single factory that makes a critical component. Any one of those can become your Achilles heel.
This risk really shows up in three main flavors. The first one is the most obvious. You're relying on one single supplier. If they have a fire, a strike, anything, you're in trouble. The second is relying on a single geographic region. You might have 5 suppliers, which sounds great, but what if they're all in an area that gets hit by a hurricane or has sudden political turmoil? You're just as exposed. And the third one, which is a little sneakier, is a single manufacturing source. You could have a dozen suppliers, but if they all secretly get a key part from the exact same factory, you're right back to having one point of failure.
Now, I know this can all sound a bit academic, a little theoretical, but it's not. We all just lived through a massive, global, real-world example of this risk blowing up in everyone's faces. This isn't a business school case study from the 80s. This was a crisis that affected pretty much everyone. Remember this? The great global semiconductor shortage of 2021. It felt like it happened overnight. All of a sudden, those tiny little computer chips, the brains inside everything from your car to your coffee machine, just vanished. And why? Because the world suddenly woke up and realized that almost all of these critical components were being made by just a handful of factories in 1 or 2 parts of the world.
And the fallout was immediate, and it was brutal, especially for the auto industry. What happens when your entire global operation depends on a few suppliers for a part you can't build without? Your factories go silent, production lines stopped. For months, you saw these huge empty lots where brand new cars were supposed to be, all because the industry had spent decades building a supply chain that was super cheap, but not super strong.
But this is where the story gets really telling, because while most car makers were shutting down plants, one company famously just kept on building: Toyota. Now, that wasn't luck, it was strategy. For years, they had intentionally nurtured a diverse group of suppliers. They understood that paying a little bit more for that diversity wasn't a cost, it was an insurance policy. And man, did that policy pay out big time.
So the chip crisis is the huge, dramatic, worst-case scenario. But even when things are running normally, supplier concentration creates these 4 core risks that really keep supply chain experts up at night. Let's break down exactly what they're worried about.
Okay, here are the 4 big dangers. Number 1, supply disruption. We just saw a perfect example of that. Number 2, sudden price increases. If your supplier knows you have nowhere else to go, what's stopping them from jacking up your prices? Not much. That leads right into number 3, reduced negotiation power. You've got no leverage. You have to take whatever deal they give you. And finally, all of this causes number 4, operational delays. You can't make your stuff, which costs you money and, maybe worse, damages your reputation with your customers.
All right, we've defined the problem, we've seen the disaster, we get the risks. So what's the solution? Well, the good news is there are clear, proven ways to fight back. The smartest companies don't just cross their fingers and hope for the best. They actively build resilience right into the DNA of their supply chains.
And it really comes down to 4 key moves. First, diversify your suppliers. This is often called dual sourcing. Basically, for anything critical, have at least a plan A and a plan B. Second, diversify geographically. Make sure your plan A and plan B aren't next-door neighbors. Spread them out. Third, you've got to monitor supplier risk. keep an eye on their financial health and performance. And fourth, create strategic inventory buffers. It means keeping a safety stock of crucial parts. It's exactly what Toyota did with their chips, and it's what saved them.
When you step back and look at all these tactics, you realize they point to something much bigger. It's about a total mindset shift. It's about rethinking what the goal of procurement even is. It's not just about saving money anymore. It's about creating strategic value by making the entire business safer and more resilient. And this really is the key takeaway. The best people in this field are not just haggling over price lists. They are architects. They're designing complex systems, supplier networks that are stable, strong, and built to withstand a shock. Because think about it. The ability to keep your business running when all your competitors are at a standstill is the ultimate competitive advantage. That's the real value. And so that leaves us with one final, very important question to ask ourselves. In this constant, relentless pursuit of lower and lower costs, have we accidentally forgotten what it takes to actually survive? Is your business, or the one you work for, built to be cheap, or is it built to last?